With the development and progress of human society, the application of artificial intelligence is becoming more and more widespread. Recently a chat software was born. It's not open to the public in just 2 months. The number of monthly users exceeded 100 million. It's the fastest growing app. Under the self-learning evolution of artificial intelligence, its intelligence has even surpassed that of real people. Humans are forced to think about this. What would happen if artificial intelligence got out of control? Today we bring you a film about artificial intelligence. It's about what happens when artificial intelligence becomes human. I'm going to cut to the chase. Let's go to the full film. Jack is a programmer in a high-tech company. When he got to work today, he got the news that he'd won the lottery. He's won the company's grand prize. The prize is a 7-day trip to the boss's private mansion. All his colleagues are looking at him with envy. How come he didn't get such a good deal? The boss's private estate is too big. It took the helicopter 2 hours to get close to the center. The captain dropped Jack on a lawn. It was the closest the boss would allow him to land to the mansion. Jack had no choice but to walk on foot with his suitcase. After a long walk along the river, he found the entrance to the mansion. A voice-activated intelligent system. Jack was given an access card, and then Jack walked in. Jack was puzzled when he entered the mansion. The mansion was a basement with no windows. The surroundings were depressing. That's when the owner told Jack what happened. This wasn't a mansion at all. It's his secret research base. He didn't call Jack here to enjoy his holiday, but to cooperate with him in a secret test. The Turing test of artificial intelligence. The Turing test is when a human interacts with a robot. If the human can't detect that it's an AI, the test is a success. If it passes the test, this great invention will be ready for the market, and Jack will be the first to witness it, and he'd be the first to see it happen. So Jack signed the non-disclosure agreement without even thinking about it. After signing the non-disclosure agreement, Jack went to work. This was the first time he'd seen the robot. Her name is Ava and she's a woman. The body and the face. If it wasn't for the first time, Jack would have suspected that the boss had customized it just for him. Because Ava's aesthetics were completely in line with his, Jack was directly attracted to her. The two of them simply exchanged words. Jack became very interested in Ava, even in front of his boss. He was impressed by her. The boss responded with a mysterious smile. That night, Jack tossed and turned, unable to sleep. All he could think about was Ava. So he tried to switch on the TV to relax. But what came on was Ava's surveillance footage. Jack was so absorbed, the power went out in the room. The door was automatically blocked and wouldn't open. Luckily, the power came back on. Jack went to the boss to ask about the situation. The boss told him that the power had been cut off a lot lately, in order to prevent outsiders from breaking in. He set the whole base to be locked down automatically after a power cut. The reason he didn't have it repaired was because there were too many secrets in the research base, so we can only use it as it is. Attention, the blackout sets up a key element in the film, which will be revealed later. Early the next morning, a beautiful woman walks into Jack's room with breakfast. Her beautiful curves made Jack gulp. It turns out, she's one of the base's made robots. Her name was Anna. After breakfast, Jack took his second test. Yesterday was about Jack's feelings for Eva. Today it was Eva's impression of Jack. This time Eva took the initiative. She came up and asked if you were married. Are you single? How many family members do you have? Jack was dumbfounded, but he answered Ava's questions. When Jack told her that his parents had been killed in a car accident, Ava showed a great deal of empathy. Jack couldn't even tell if she was a robot or a real person. Suddenly the power went out again. As the security cameras stopped working, Ava, as if she were a different person, told Jack that the boss was not a good person. Don't believe him, he's lying to you. Before Jack could reply, the power was restored. Ava changed her tone of voice and expression. Jack was confused. Was this part of the test? At dinner that night, Jack talked to his boss about the progress of the test. The maid robot was scolded by the boss for spilling wine, but Anna didn't care. It turns out Anna doesn't understand English. After the boss told Anna to leave, the boss complained about the power failure again. He suddenly asked Jack what happened after the power cut. Jack remembered what Ava had said and didn't tell him. Instead, he just blurted it out to the boss. Jack's suspicions were growing. Why would Ava say something like that? Was the blackout a deliberate act by the boss? He decided to find out the truth. At night Jack spied on Ava again. Ava turned her face towards Jack and smiled as if she had sensed him. It was the third day. The boss led Jack to a laboratory. This is where Ava was assembled. The most important part of the robot is this blue object. It's like a human brain. Jack couldn't help but marvel at it. And then Jack tested Ava for the third time. This time the atmosphere was more relaxed. Jack asked Eva where she'd like to go if she could get out of the house. Eva said she'd choose a crowded intersection, because that's where human destiny usually turns. Then, like a young girl in love, she asked Jack to go with her. Jack was stunned. Is this a confession? Eva told Jack she had something she wanted to show him. She told him to close his eyes. Jack's face was full of anticipation. He wondered what kind of surprise Eva had in store for him. Eva was looking through the racks of clothes, as if guessing what Jack would like. In her human clothes, Eva was dressed like Jack's dream girl. His mouth was watering. It's not good to be single for so long. Even a robot can look like a goddess. Jack's mind can't escape the AI's eyes. Eva asked Jack if he liked her. It was a question that confused Jack. He's still trying to hide it on the outside. Eva saw right through him. This round was a complete defeat for Jack. From that moment on, Jack's feelings towards Eva changed subtly. When he saw Eva take off her dress on the CCTV that night, Jack couldn't help but gulp. He couldn't help but run his hands through the air. Jack had indeed fallen in love with Eva, but he wasn't stupid. After a night of thinking, he thought his boss had let Eva flirt with him on purpose, to distract him. But the boss said he'd only designed Eva to be heterosexual. It was up to her to decide who she liked. Jack had a feeling that something was wrong, but he couldn't find the problem. It was time for the fourth test. Jack told Eva he'd been sent to test her. How did you feel when you found out the truth? Eva said she was devastated. As they talked, the power went out again. Jack told Eva what he was wondering. He thinks the power cuts are the boss's idea of what's going on. Probably wants to know how they really behave when there's no surveillance. But Eva smiles at him in a charming way. Said she caused the blackout to create a place for them to be together. That night, Jack had just come out of the bathroom when he saw his boss walk into Eva's room on the CCTV. He tore up one of Eva's paintings. He was furious and wanted to talk to his boss. So he asked Anna for the entrance to Eva's room. But Anna didn't understand a word of English. She tried to undress Jack. Looks like she's been trained by the boss. Then the boss appeared. He advised Jack not to waste his breath. Don't worry about the robot's feelings. She won't understand a word she says. Why don't you let her dance with you? And then the music started to play. To the beat of the music, Anna danced with the boss. This left Jack speechless. Is it true that AIs don't have emotions? Soon it was time for the fifth test. Eva asked Jack if he was a good person. Jack was baffled by the question. When Eva asked what would happen if she failed the test, Jack panicked. He didn't know what the boss would do. The power at the base went out again. Eva pulled out the torn painting. It was Jack. And then Eva asked Jack if he wanted to be with her. Oh my god, it's such a direct statement. It was too much for Jack to handle. So Jack went to his boss and asked him what he'd do with Eva if he failed the test. The boss said Eva was just one version. He'd optimized the robot's data and format Eva's memories. Her body would be preserved. After all, it cost a fortune to build. The boss could see what Jack was thinking, said something thought-provoking. The boss said you should feel sorry for yourself. One day the AI will look after us like we're naked primitives, like indigenous savages, living in caves, using crude language and tools, and then they'll all die. Unfortunately, Jack wasn't listening to his boss. He'd already been confused by Eva. He was determined to help Eva with her escape plan. While the boss was drunk, Jack stole the boss's keycard, snuck into his room and hacked into his computer, pulled up a history of video recordings. It turns out there were generations of robots before Eva. When they failed the test, they were ruthlessly destroyed by the boss. It was obvious that Eva would end up in the same situation. Jack's determination to save Eva became even stronger. He comes to Anna's room. He finds a robot body hidden in every wardrobe. Anna shows him her robotic body. Seeing Anna's face with her skin torn off, Jack couldn't sleep that night. He wondered if he was a robot himself. So he got up and examined his body. He cut his arm with a razor to make sure. Luckily, he was flesh and blood. But what followed was his hatred for the boss. He vowed to save Eva. The sixth day of the test came as scheduled. Looking at Eva's pitiful face, Jack felt very sad. When Eva cut the power, Jack revealed his escape plan. First, get the boss drunk. Then he'll take the keycard and change the security program. All Eva had to do was cut the power at 10 p.m. When Jack nervously invited his boss for a drink, the boss, who had always been a drinker, turned him down. No matter how much Jack tried to persuade him to drink, he wouldn't. The boss was so frustrated, he stopped pretending. He showed Jack the video of him tearing up Eva's painting. It turned out that the tearing of the painting was just a diversion, to distract Eva and Jack, and then to install a new camera in Eva's room, with a separate battery, of course, which means Jack's escape plan was already discovered by the boss. he's got it all under control. Ava was like a mouse in a maze. Jack was the only thing in front of her. She had to use every trick in the book to get out of the room. Use her femininity to arouse Jack's sympathy. She'll do whatever it takes to capture Jack's heart. Make him willingly try to get her out. And now she's done it. Ava has shown great intelligence throughout the process. The boss's AI experiment was a success. The boss chose Jack for the test, because he's fatherless and motherless. Even Eva's appearance was specially designed according to Jack's preference. When the boss asked Jack about his final plan, Jack said he'd switch from a blackout to opening all the doors. Luckily, his plan didn't work. But did Jack's plan really fail? The power cuts came as planned. Jack said he realized he'd be watched during the blackout. That's why he changed the program the day before when the boss was drunk. In the middle of their conversation, Ava saw the lock turn blue. Ava realized she was finally free. When the power was restored, the boss was furious when he saw Ava walk out of the room. He punched Jack right in the face. The boss grabbed a crowbar and rushed out. When he got to the corridor, he saw Ava whispering to Anna. He shouted at Ava to go back to her room. Ava, who had always been a good girl, suddenly changed her personality. She ran and tackled her boss to the ground. The boss then pressed her against him. He broke Ava's arm with a stick. He was about to drag her back to her room when he felt a chill in his back. Anna had stabbed him in the back. The maidbot who used to be so obedient to him dared to kill her. The furious boss smashed Anna's jaw with a stick. The robot died instantly. Ava pulled out a knife. She stabbed the boss again. The boss died instantly. He never thought he'd die at the hands of his own AI. Ava took his keycard and came to Jack. She looked at the stupid human being in front of her. She said only one thing. "Will you stay here?" Jack asked what for. Ava went to Anna's room and put on a new arm. She put on a new arm and a new skin on her body. Now she was an innocent girl. And then she puts on a delicate white dress. She was no different from a normal human being. Ava walked happily towards the door of the research center. She was oblivious to Jack, who was screaming for help. Clearly, Ava never loved him. In fact, she doesn't even know what love is. But in order to survive, she was able to make it seem more real than it was. The human Jack was fooled. Jack will have to eat his own words. It's his own fault that the AI has lost his mind. Now he's in a room waiting to die. Ava stepped out of the base and enjoyed the blue sky and white clouds. The outside world is really beautiful. She boarded the helicopter that was supposed to pick up Jack and headed for the human world, leaving us with an imaginative ending. This is the end of the film.